Welcome back to Simbright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this class, I'll be teaching you how to make this double flayed flounce with crinoline, as you are seeing right there on the thumbnail, with standing effect. So I'll be teaching you the tips and tricks to making this stand out the way you see it right there on the thumbnail. Okay, so this flounce is actually very beautiful. You can see it's double flayed and you can see the crinoline added to it, and I'll be showing you how to cut this flounce and have a good result. So if this is what you want to learn, please stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. So in this class, I'll be showing you how to sew a perfect flounce to your bustier, as you can see right there on the thumbnail. So this flounce we are sewing on in this class, these are the required materials for them. We need our 3 inches crinoline. Okay, so you can also make use of 6 inches crinoline, but for this class we are using 3 inches crinoline. We have 6 inches, we have bigger crinoline, so we need a bigger crinoline to achieve this exact effect. So I'm using 3 inches crinoline. So what I mean by 3 inches is, when you take the measurement, you can see from end to end is 3 inches. So that is what I'm using for this. I need my hemming gum. So this is my hemming gum, and that is how it looks like. So we'll be using it to perfectly sew this flounce. And again, you need your fabric. This is my Duffel satin fabric, which we are going to use for this flounce. And I've already taken the measurements, but I'm going to tell you what I did right here. It's a 2-step flounce, and for this class I'll be teaching you how to make it on one side, that is on one part of the sleeve. Then you can repeat what I did right here on the other part of the sleeve. So to begin this tutorial right now, I'm going to show you how I took the measurement of my fabric before cutting. So this is the dress or the bustier you want to sew this crinoline into, and this is the shoulder line. So we are sewing this flounce from the shoulder line for the front. So I'll take the measurement of the shoulder line. We are just sewing it right on top of this dress. So when we get to the sewing, you will see how this can be sewn on the dress. Then your sleeve can also be attached as well. So I'm going to place my tape at the shoulder, and I'm going to measure the length of the dress. So here I have 15 inches for the front. So 15 inches for front and 15 inches for back. So these 15 inches, I'll multiply it by 2. If I multiply by 2, I have 30 inches. So this 30 inches right now, to make this flounce, I'm going to multiply 30 by 2.5. Okay, 30 multiplied by 2.5. 30 multiplied by 2.5. Already 30 times 2 will give us 60. Then half, which is 0.5 of 30, is 15. So when you add it together, you have 75 inches. So 75 inches, 2 yards, a yard, 1 yard is 36, 2 yards is 72. So you can make use of 2 yards, and it will comfortably make do for these pleats. Okay, so 75 and 72, they are very close, so I'll just ignore the 3 inches. So I cut out my fabric at 2 yards. So I just got myself a straight 2 yards of fabric, because I don't want to go joining my fabric. So you can see the first one, it has 2 layers or 2 steps. So this is the first layer, and this is the second layer. So if you look at the first and second layer now, you can see that is actually bolder. The first layer measures 7.5 inches, and the second layer measures 5.5 inches. So the difference we have here is just 2 inches. Can you see? So this is 5.5, this is 7.5. So by the time we sew half an inch, we'll have 5 and 7 inches. So the length of this from one end to the other for both of them, the length is that 2 yards. Can you see? This way, at a straight cut, I cut it at 2 yards. So note that this 5.5 inches is when it's on fold. Can you see? If you open it now, you'll be having about 11 inches. That is if you open it. So when you are cutting, can you see 11 inches? So when you are cutting, I will advise you fold your fabric and measure the first at 5.5, the second at 7.5. So we'll begin this class immediately without wasting time. So the first thing we are going to do is to prepare our crinoline. So to prepare the crinoline, I'll take off the big one. I'll be using this smaller one to demonstrate it. But whatever we do here, that is what we are going to do for the rest of it. So I'll just go ahead and open my crinoline, my fabric, and I'll bring in my crinoline. So if you look at this fabric, you can see there's a crease line. So you can decide to go over to your machine and do what? Your ironing table, and use your iron to make a crease line. So if I'm using my iron to make a crease line right now, assuming this is my iron and I'm making my crease line. So if you open it, you will see that line. Even with my hand, I've been able to make it. So I'll just place this right there. Can you see? I'm placing it at that edge. Please don't stretch your crinoline. Don't stretch it. Allow it to have that natural effect. So now I'll come in with my hemming gum. This is my hemming gum. I'll just place it on top of the crinoline. So that means you need to be patient while working on this, because as you can see right here, you can see that what we are doing here is actually technical. So I'll just go over to my ironing table, and this is what I will be doing. I will keep placing this on top this way. Okay, I'll place it on top of my crinoline this way, and then I'll do what? I'll fold. Can you see? So once I do that, I'll iron the part I folded. So we'll demonstrate it right away. Demonstrate this right now. I just brought a piece of fabric to support my table. So this is what we did before. We placed our crinoline on the edge, and we brought the hemming gum. Can you see? We brought the hemming gum, and then you close up that edge. So this is the easiest and quickest way to make a flounce, and it comes out very nicely as well. So I have my piece of fabric with steam on it. If you have a steam iron, that is also fine and better. So you can see, so whatever I'm doing right here for this particular part, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the length I have. So if you're making this flounce for 2 sleeves, you will do this for 2 sleeves as well. So you can see I'm trying to put the crinoline because I need to progress. So that crinoline has to be pushed to the crease line. Can you see? It has to be pushed to the crease line. So with your hot iron and with your hemming gum in between, you automatically have your crinoline okay. So this is something you have to do with patience. Okay, so you can see my crinoline has really stuck for me on this part. Okay, so if you open it, you can see it's sticking right there. You can even decide to also add your hemming gum. You can decide to also add more. Okay, you must not be restricted to that part. You can see how I'm raising it up, and I'm adding more of my hemming gum. I can also bring on top and add, so it sticks perfectly as well. But the secret here is that you need your steam iron. So if you don't have a steam iron, you can also do what I'm doing right here. So you must not be restricted to having a steam iron before you work and have a clean finishing. So I'll just take my time and I'll keep ironing, So for this part I'm showing you right now, I need you to see the result, okay, before I proceed. So I'm going to repeat this on all the lengths. So once I'm done repeating it on all the lengths, I will show you how to sew it into the bustier to form your flounce, okay. All right, so you can see how neatly finished we have our crinoline. Can you see? So by the time I'm done with all of them and we start pleating, we'll start having that effect we desire. Can you see? We start having that effect. So you can see it's coming up for us. So I'll quickly iron the rest of it, then we'll proceed. All right, so I'm done sticking my hemming gum. So I have to stick even to this point. So you can apply as much hemming gum as you can, okay, and make sure both sides, okay, both front and back is sticking together, as you can see. So I'm going to apply more hemming gum here to hold it on before we proceed. So I also did the same for this as well, as you can see right there. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to place this on top of this, but I will advise, if you have 6 inches crinoline, you can use it for this one, the bigger length, okay, but what I have is 3, so that is why I'm using it for both of them. But if you can get 6, you can use 6 for this and use 3 for this, okay. So the crinoline will be able to cover a longer length. So but for the purpose of this tutorial, you can see how I did that. So I'll now go over to the machine, put this on top of this. I'm going to run a straight stitch. So once I'm done running a straight stitch, we'll now take it to the machine and we'll sew it into the bustier. So let me hold the both together before we proceed. All right, so I'm done sticking it together. So this is what I have, okay. So the both of them are right there together. So the next thing we want to do now is to go over to the machine and we'll start pleating what we have on this flounce. So this flounce is supposed to be like this, but we are going to take it this way. We are going to sew on the wrong side. So we'll keep pleating on the wrong side. So once we pleat, you have it like this on the right side. So let's go over to the machine now. So you can make a chalk line on where you want your pleats to run. You can also use your discretion. So let's go and sew. It's time for us to start sewing this flounce. So what I can also advise you is to make lines. This is the yoke, so you might decide to make your lines before you sew, so you have a guideline. So this is the armhole line and that is where we are going to sew. So I'll just sew this at let me say 1 inch, okay. So I'll just make a mark at 1 inch and follow this 1 inch straight. Can you see that? So as I'm sewing now on the yoke, I don't want to mark on the yoke, but you know I'll be sewing at 1 inch. So I'm starting from the back to sew my flounce, and this is the flounce that we have already added our crinoline. So this flounce that we've already added our crinoline is going to fall this way. Okay, let me place it the way it will fall at the end of the day. So it's going to fall like this. Okay, so when it's added, it's going to fall outside the sleeve. as you can see. So that means we are going to flip it this way and then gather. So another thing we are going to do is I will put this on fold, this flounce on fold, because we need to have it equal for front and back. So I'm putting it on fold now. This is it. I'll put it together and I will make a notch. I'm making a notch at this point. So that will be the shoulder line. Can you see? It's going to be the shoulder. So when I'm gathering the back, once I get to the shoulder and I get to this notch, I will stop. Okay, so I'm going to start pleating now, and I'm using my discretion to pleat. So this pleating that we are making now, like I said, is going to be placed to the seam line this way. So it's going to place to the seam line this way. So if you want, you can attach your sleeve after you are done with this project. So I'll drop my presser foot now. This is how it should be, but because we don't want to cover it with appliques or whatever, just flip it this other direction. So at the end of the day, it goes like this. So I would advise you also serge. Make sure you serge or weave before you sew. So I'll start pleating now. It depends on what pleating you want to make, or it depends on what gathering. So what I'm making here is gathering. I'm gathering with my finger. So if you have a gathering foot, you can also use your gathering foot to achieve this perfectly. Okay, but if you don't have a gathering foot, you can do what I'm doing right here. So as I'm putting it together, remember we have a notch. So that notch is where we are going to stop these pleats. So I'm sewing on that line I made, as you can see. I'll just take my time. So this project is not something you are going to rush. So I'm taking my time to gather this. So remember, we took the length of this dress. We took the length of the part we are going to gather. So if you want more gathers to it, you can do, instead of times the length times 2.5, you can do times 3. Okay. So I will keep gathering it right now till I get to the seam line where I have the notch. So as you can see right here, I've gotten to where we have the shoulder seam line, and it matches with my notch which I made. So I'll continue to gather at 1 inch using my discretion. So I'll just keep gathering at 1 inch, as you can see. So from that notch right away, I'll start making. So you have to be careful. This part is the yoke part. Okay, so and you need to use a perfect yoke. That's a yoke that will give you that stability to stitch your flounce on top. So we have a detailed video on how to choose your yoke. I'll also drop the link on the description box below. So in case you don't know how to choose a good yoke for your bustier, for your corset. So this class, I'll be dropping the link, will help you to choose a perfect yoke for your corset making and for your bustier. So you can see now I'm sewing right there into the front piece. So I don't really want to mark this front piece, because the front piece here is a lace fabric. So even if I make the marks, it might not really be that visible. So but another thing I want to do, it depends on how you want to style this front part. If you want to keep it straight, fine. If you want to make it a V, you can see what I did, making it a V. So at this point, since we want to make it a V, I'll just come over here and make a mark. Okay, I don't really want to mark on it, but I'm just going to show you what I mean. I'm making a V, so I'll just follow this V line. So it's your design, it's your style, it's your choice. So I just keep following and making my gathers. So as you're making your gathers, you also be watching to make sure your gathers, since you are using your hands to make it, so you have to be careful you don't push all the fabric at one side. So I'll keep gathering till I get to the end now. So we are done with the pleatings. So you can see how I kept the pleating while I was pleating. Okay, so the fuller part will face this way, because at the end of the day, this is the front piece of this dress. Can you see? So this is the front piece of it. You don't need to show the seam lines at the front. As you can see, you don't need to show the seam line. So that is why I suggested you serge before you weave this part, so it will be neat for you at the end of the day before you sew it in. So the biggest one will be below while you sew, while the smaller one will be on top while you sew in this flounce. So this is the armhole area, and that is where you are going to attach your sleeve. So if you want to make a sleeve for it, you can comfortably sew your sleeve, because we stitch this at 1 inch difference, so you still have half an inch to sew your sleeve around. Okay, so that is how to go about this. So you can repeat this flounce. You can repeat it for the other side of this bustier, and it gives it that beautiful and finished outlook. Then you can go ahead and sew the down piece of it. If you also want to add a flounce to the down, you still use the same method to add it. Okay, just like you can see on the thumbnail, we have it together. So all you need to do is to join your skirt piece and measure the length of your flounce from the shoulder to where you want it to stop on the skirt piece. Cut times 2, and as you are sewing, you will keep sewing to that point. Okay, so but for this class, we are only having one of these done. So thank you very much for coming to this tutorial, and I believe this class was helpful to you. So if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share to family and friends. Drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Thank you for coming. See you in the next class. Bye.